paneling was added. And an improvement near and dear to any traveler's heart. Bigger overhead stowage bins give the 400 more capacity per passenger than any other wide-bodied plane. Or if you check your luggage, the 747's handlers load more than 42 tons of baggage onto the jet in less than 7 minutes. When you see this gigantic jet swallowing 5.5 tons of food to feed hundreds of hungry passengers and guzzling 57,000 gallons of fuel to sustain itself, you understand the nickname crew members fondly bestow upon this beast.
We call them the whale, the whale.
For the record, this jet dwarfs the average blue whale, which weighs in at a paltry 250,000 pounds. This jet's weight is especially incredible when you consider the one handling characteristic noticed by almost all pilots.
For its size, I think among the Boeing test pilots at least, it's widely regarded as the easiest airplane to land.
This giant's gentle landings are due in part to ground effect. The jet's massive size actually compresses the air beneath it as it gets closer to the ground, creating an invisible cushion that softens the landing. The 747's most obvious claim to fame may be its size, but this jet's combination of prestige and versatility has landed it some pretty interesting jobs.
The most famous 747 that we have is Air Force One.
You know, everywhere I go in that airplane, I am the second most important celebrity. People really just want to see the plane.
The Boeing 747-200 is owned by the United States Air Force and has been fitted with everything from heat-seeking missile protection to an air-to-air refueling system. This 747 could effectively serve as an airborne White House if something should happen to the real one. And 747s don't just carry the president. One piggybacked the Space Shuttle Enterprise for NASA in the late 70s during testing. These jets have even been recruited by the military to defend the country with lasers. The ABL, Airborne Laser, is a joint project between Boeing, TRW, and Lockheed Martin to develop a modified 747 capable of blasting ballistic missiles out of the sky.
Some of the more interesting requests that I've gotten over the years, one of them was a particular Asian operator wanting to make sure it was safe to carry a very, very large sumo wrestler on board. So we had to do some analysis, make sure the floor beams were good for it. Of course it was, but we had to convince them that it was okay.
The Boeing 747 has maintained its status as sumo of the skies for more than 3 decades, while successfully grappling with and defeating the notion that it's an old jet. It's a tough set of signals to send. Maintain a reputation as a classic while paying close attention to the cutting edge.
The toughest thing about being the chief engineer of the 747 is controlling our appetite for innovation. Our engineer said, why can't we just start over? Why can't we just take a clean sheet of paper with the 47 and start over? And it's like, wait, we don't want to do that. We've got a really good thing going here.
Soon, the bar won't just be raised. It'll be changed entirely. The 747 is about to meet a challenger from one of Boeing's biggest competitors. Boeing's biggest rival is developing a new jet overseas. In a move reminiscent of the early days of the 747, Airbus is building a brand new facility for the construction of their latest, the A380, a mega jumbo jet. Measuring in at 239 feet, with capacity for more than 600 passengers, this jet will be the first production jet to challenge the reign of the Queen of the Skies. Boeing isn't handing over the crown yet.
The A380 is a different airplane than the 747. It's quite a bit larger at 550 to 650 passengers. We believe that it's too big.
When Boeing developed the 747 30 years ago, the company placed a bet on a future where more people would travel further. that bet panned out. Or perhaps the jet itself helped change the way we travel.
It completely revolutionized the way that cultures and nations intermixed, because it just turned up the scale. It actually revolutionized things in capacity terms, and in a lot of ways it helped promote the interaction of societies and cultures on a scale which hadn't been seen before.
Now, by relying on the size of their current fleet of products, the company is placing another bet, that more people want point-to-point travel, not the hub-to-hub system that exists now. Fragmentation is the term used to describe this split between traveling styles. Airbus and Boeing are putting their money on different variants of the fragmentation phenomenon.
We think that the world will grow up in point-to-point. They believe that the world will grow up with the same transportation infrastructure and larger aircraft will be required. The world will tell us in a few years which one made the right bet.
Meanwhile, something else is happening that recalls the days when the 747 was first being developed. Boeing is once again developing a supersonic jet. Do all of these changes in the industry spell the end of the 747? This jet has had an unprecedented run.
Nobody thought that the 747 program would still be alive and well 35 years after the first airplane came out. Nobody anticipated that.
But Boeing continues to tinker with the 747. A longer range version is currently being tested, and customers are already lining up. Money talks, and billions of dollars worth of orders says that people don't see this as an old jet.
What we think of the 747 is 30 years of continuous learning and improvement. 30 years of understanding from our customers what their needs are, improving how the product works, and adapting not only the airplane, but the way in which we produce it to the current needs of the airlines and their customers, the shippers and the passengers.
The 747 model has already surpassed all expectations of longevity. Will it be around much longer?
The demand is such that I think we'll see 747s flying for at least another 50 years in some cases. I would honestly say that.
If that prediction is correct, the 747 may have to hand over its title as the biggest commercial jet in the skies, but it will likely gain another, longest lived. And a legacy like the one that continues to grow for the 747 doesn't come from being the biggest thing in the skies. It comes from the dedicated characters who built and continue to build a jet they believe in.
I still stand there and look at the airplane, look at the factory it's built in, and think about what we do. I mean, it's a miracle of capability and working together. Every time a 747 gets put together with its millions of parts and takes off from Everett Field. Maybe the real miracle is the fact that nearly 1,300 of those 747s have done just exactly that.